Gonna wing it. All right, here we are for the playoff preview for 2018. Lots of big stuff here. We have Cody Vanlobstein, Jacob Stinson of Preds Smart, Smashville's finest, and I'm Ben McGreevy of Smashville Scores. All right, lots of cool stuff. Jacob, real quickly, like in 30 seconds, what's going on Tennessee Tech Thursday?
All right, so we have actually, Ben and I have pretty much created this awesome movement among all the schools and colleges in Tennessee. And it's pretty simple. Just wear your gold. If you're a college student listening to this video, wear gold yourself and get the word out to your friends. And we've had great responses from anywhere from people at Tennessee Tech, the Preds themselves, CEO of the Preds, Sean Henry. So if you're out there, wear gold Thursday. Get the hype going for Game 1 against Colorado.
I saw there's like all these new accounts for different schools popping up. I'm like,
oh yeah,
my friends started this, and now I'm getting followed by UTK Preds fans. That's pretty sick.
It's fantastic. It's a really cool movement. All right, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna go through and like predict the series. So we're gonna start in the Pacific. Whichever one of you guys want to start, we'll start with San Jose and Anaheim. Who's winning that series? Why are they winning? How many games is it going?
Start with you because you have a different opinion than we do.
Okay, I have Anaheim in the series. I think that San Jose and Anaheim, they're going to beat each other up. This is going to be a long, gruesome series. I don't really have any faith in Martin Jones in the playoffs. He's so shaky, and I'm going to Anaheim, and that's what I got. So. Yeah.
All right.
Not much more than that.
You put a lot of faith in John Gibson.
Yeah.
See, here's the thing for me is that the Ducks are so old. Like they're past
and
their
they're
prime. They're hurt. They're old. I don't see them winning this series. They're beat up after. I feel like they're exhausted. Corey Perry's not young enough. Getzlaf is not young enough.
And I think
Fowler's
I was about to say Fowler's hurt. That does make me a little wary.
Yeah, and so it just it goes down the list, and to me it's just okay, the Ducks. And they're always finishing well.
They emptied their tank finishing out the season, I feel like.
Yes.
They don't have the gas to do what they did.
You also got to keep in mind that San Jose is losing Joe Thornton, and haven't heard about Logan Chura, but I know he took a shot to the arm in their last game from Brent Burns. So I think both teams are banged up. As I said, I do think it'll be a long series, though. I give the edge to Anaheim. Game 7 in Anaheim. I'm always going with the home team. So.
So right now, here is their injury report for the Sharks.
Okay, let's
Eric Fair is out. Joe Thornton has a knee injury, but he is not expected to return. Evander Kane is nursing an arm right now, and so he'll be fine. But they say that he might not play for Game 1. But then again.
Yeah,
you're coming back to the playoffs. If you don't play in Game 1,
it's the playoffs. Everyone's playing.
Yes.
If you're not in half, unless you're Shea Weber with your foot injury that he couldn't play on all season, you're going.
And San Jose did finish strong in the last 10 games of the season. Mm-hmm. So I'm leaning Anaheim, but I completely see both of y'all.
And I see the Sharks coming at it. I think the Sharks are too hot. If you look at their last 10 games, they've been phenomenal, and it's not just they're not working super hard either. From what I've seen, they're just playing their game, and they're playing well. They haven't had a great, but then again, you look at the Ducks; they're 8-1-1.
Yeah,
in their last 10.
They're both. I mean, they both play well.
I think they.
I know San Jose. I know San Jose, as it says right there, 5-4-1. But when we played them a couple weeks ago, I think they were coming in on a great. Was it an 8-1-1 stretch? I believe
they were really hot when Stars beat them.
Yeah, so I think this series is going to be close to a toss-up, but I am leaning Anaheim.
How many games are you guys thinking?
I'm saying it's going 7.
It's 7.
So I'm gonna throw that one at 6.
Okay.
Off the bat there. All right, moving up. You have a close 3-hour drive for Vegas and LA. This is great. For publicity and hockey, I don't know, a huge market in Los Angeles.
It couldn't be any better. The Kings versus the Knights.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
This is Gary Bettman's dream when he decided the Knights were coming in. There's not a better option for the first round of the playoffs.
Sports gambling in Vegas for the Stanley Cup playoffs is going to be ramped up this year.
Can you imagine the atmosphere in Las Vegas?
No.
When
I'm excited to see how it is.
I mean, they got Logic coming out there pre-game, game one.
To me, for all the places we've been, and like for road games, the only place in like noise and like just atmosphere level that can really even compare to Nashville is Vegas. And so and imagining people coming in off the strip,
yeah, and they're cutting it off from opposing fans too.
Yeah.
So it's only going to be louder.
So yeah, no, because LA would attack.
Because the way the Vegas is doing it, they're making it like how the Preds are doing it, but incredibly cheaper.
Yeah. If their season ticket holders opt in to not selling, they get a better price.
Yeah, it's like $125 a ticket.
Yeah, which is insane
for inaugural season playoffs. That's nuts.
Yep, that is crazy. All right, though, there has to be a winner of this series. Is it going to be Vegas or LA?
No.
All right, why do you say no?
Vegas started off the season super high, and they've been on a downhill ever since, in my opinion, since the All-Star break. I think I mentioned that in our video we did before. But, and then to end the season, they let a rookie from Calgary score 4 goals on them, and they've just been downhill trending for me ever since, and the Kings have been uphill trending, and, Quick's playing well, all them. So I think the Kings will take it in 5, to be honest. I don't think it'll be close. I think Vegas might win 1 home game, but I don't think they're going to get much more than that.
Wow.
This is the case of for the first time I can ever remember, where a division winner is just happy to be there.
Yeah.
I mean, if you had said before the season they would be
Yeah.
in Colorado's position, they would take that every day of the week. But the series itself, Fleury is very streaky in the playoffs over the course of his career. They have a great breakout player this year, and William Karlsson is probably their best threat offensively. But when it comes to LA, they got Quick, they got Doughty. I mean, they've been there before. They've won a Stanley Cup. I know it's been a while, but they have. And their offense does make me a little scared because they don't really have the offensive abilities that some of the other teams in the playoffs do. But I think their goaltending and defense will carry them to probably a win in about 6 games. I think they win LA in Game 6. So that's where I'm feeling right now.
That's crazy.
I think it'll be cool that, Fleury, like you said, has been streaky in the playoffs. If he does what he's done the past 2 seasons and he needs a backup to come and relieve him, what better story to have than Malcolm Subban to come in and save the day after being dropped down to AHL and released on the waivers by the Bruins, come to Vegas and lead them to maybe the first ever franchise series win. That would be a great story.
It's also really cool. Malcolm was 14 years old, and his dad, Carl Subban, was like you're not playing goalie, you are playing defender. And then Malcolm was just like, Dad, I'm playing goalie or I'm quitting hockey. And his dad was like, all right, you're coming goalie. And so that's just a really neat thing that he developed the skills and got there. I have LA at 7 in the series, though. I don't know. I just see, Kopitar's been amazing this year. It's just, you can make a case for him to win the Hart. It's one of those things, it's I don't know how LA, they're just experienced, and you look at so many of the guys who are on this Vegas roster and how they've played. It's a different level of hockey to win in the playoffs, and you look at a lot of them, a couple Florida players, a couple Columbus players, I think, wasn't William Karlsson in Columbia. So you look at these guys who are good players, but not necessarily the type of guys who can play in the playoffs. James Neal is an experienced playoff guy after last year. And
Neal and Fleury is their best bets in the playoffs.
And so I just think that LA takes the series, but I think it's going to be great. I think it goes to 7, maybe 6. Maybe you could see LA winning it at home, but I definitely think that it'll go. It's going to be a great series to watch. All right, Winnipeg and Minnesota battle the 2 cold cities.
The North and the actual North.
Very true. All right. Who do you guys have? Well, I'll start with me this time. I think, man, it's so painful to say it. I think the Jets, they win it in 6 just because I think Minnesota's a pretty good team too.
Even without Suter.
Even without Suter, they're a good team. But I think that without Suter, they just don't have the defensive presence they need to have. The Jets' offense is just so good. Yeah. Unbelievable. With Stinson, that got deeper. He's gelled well. If you look at the Jets and their last 10, they're coming in hot. They're 9-1-0. You don't necessarily see that stopping anytime soon. That's frightening.
Not until round 2.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Let's be careful here. No, I mean, you look at the Jets, and they're literally just they are so deep, and they're so ready to go, and their goaltending is finally good, and I just look at them and I say, okay, how does a team like that lose?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how does a team like that not start winning games or keep winning games throughout all of it?
They just can't lose more than 3 a series. That's the thing, is like, there are teams who can beat them 3 times, but who can beat them 4? And that list is maybe 2 teams.
Yep.
Maybe 3.
And it's just going to be very difficult to beat a team with that much firepower.
Yeah.
And especially a team that's hot with that much firepower.
A lot of their firepower is injury prone, though, and they're playing Minnesota, which is a very, physical team. Especially not having Suter, they're going to be having to play a style that's very aggressive, kind of like how Vegas plays, where they're on you really quick. And I think it'll be a really hard-hitting series, and I don't want to wish injury upon anybody, but, I mean, you look at Stats and you look at Scheifele and their durability, there's a question mark there on whether or not they'll make it through the series. And there's not a doubt in my mind that Winnipeg wins, probably in 6. I think Minnesota might be able to pull off 2 wins, but I don't think there's any way they can win. But the key for Winnipeg is getting out of the first round healthy, in my opinion. If they can do that, they have a legitimate shot to win it all.
And I don't know if you remember, but I think it was back in maybe November. I texted you and I was like, "What about Winnipeg? They're hot." I was like, "You think they fall off?"
And I said no. I said St. Louis was my opinion to go over them, but
and
now,
I mean, you look at not only they subtly are number 2 in the NHL.
Yeah, the 2 best teams in the league points wise are out of the Central, and they're probably gonna have to play in round 2,
which is insane.
And can we just take a second to acknowledge that building they got in Winnipeg? Now it's I think it's the lowest capacity arena in the NHL.
Yeah, I think it's
but they get that whiteout and those fans come out and it is intimidating.
Of course, this is only their 2nd ever playoff series.
And they never won a playoff game.
It's kind of insane that they didn't even make it last year.
Yeah. It's goaltending is everything for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that is a.
And I don't think I've seen a shot since Ovechkin Laine has from the left circle.
No.
He's dynamite.
The ugliest player in the NHL, but
he needs to shave that raccoon. Whatever animal that needs to go.
Him and Joe Thornton need to have the ugliest
player
in the
NHL. Did you see when Joe Thornton was fighting Nazem Kadri and Kadri pulled his beard out?
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite moments of this entire season.
Oh my.
It did not get enough attention by far. That should have been in the sports world. Every single media.
He just ripped his beard
off. This man just got his beard ripped off.
And he's not even mad about it. He's just yelling at the other guy across the bench. It's insane.
That's been. I love it.
And one thing that I think Winnipeg can do is they can play both styles. They can play the speed game and the physical game. If you want to get in a speed series with them, they can play. It's kind of like the Preds.
Yeah, they're differential.
The Jets and the Preds, they can both play any style.
We've all got the Jets in 6, right?
I got the Jets in 5.
5.
Well, I mean, that's very possible. It's 5 or 6.
They're
probably not 4, but 5 or 6.
The Central Division 2 winners will be having a lot of rest days leading up to round 2. And if it goes how we think it will, there'll be a lot of anticipation for that series in between round 1 and 2.
It's going to be fantastic. That's one of these series to watch. I just think both of those buildings are fantastic. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
It's going to be real fun. All right, we get to the Preds Colorado series. What do we think about this one? And in just a moment, we're going to bring in a Canadian via phone, Matthew Morine. He thinks he knows a lot. We're going to say he's an ass fan, but we'll talk to him in just a minute. But first off, let's start out. What do you guys think about this series? What do you have in predictions-wise and stuff like that?
With a series like this involving, our team of interest and our rooting interest, I try to throw my biases out as much as I can. So I kind of look at it, at its core. I don't know if y'all follow Dom on Twitter, but he usually has a lot of analytics and stuff. And in his, I don't know how many years he's been doing that, but he said in his time this is the most, with the analytics, the most biggest mismatch in a series when it comes to the favorite and the underdog. The Predators literally lead in pretty much every category, with maybe the exception of the power play for each team. But at 5-on-5, the Predators, from analytics, if you're an analytics person, they dominated. So But I do think Colorado has, as we've talked about, they're playing with house money.
Yeah.
They don't really have anything to lose.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you can make an argument they're a better story than Vegas. With the turnaround they had, a 40
second to last in the league last year?
No,
they were
last. They had one of the statistically worst seasons in
Yeah,
NHL
historically, like.
and they've had like a 43-point turnaround.
Then they drop a superstar. Or not drop, but
trade
lose
a
a superstar like Duchesne.
Boy, let's just talk. Like, look at Joe Sakic. Everyone said, he's an idiot. He's never
He
getting
was
that
getting
Duchesne.
crap.
GM of the year.
And then he goes
Joe
and
Sakic.
gets
Book it.
Duchesne. And I
Book it. George McPhee, out of here.
Yeah.
Joe Sakic, you win.
I don't think that, man, Ottawa, I don't know what they are. Man, what's their GM's name?
Melnick's the owner. Is it Dorian? Dorian is the GM?
Let's see here. Pierre Dorian.
Yeah.
What on earth is he thinking?
I mean, Edmonton and Ottawa this year. What are
Just-
they doing?
Well, I don't think that what he traded for made much of a difference.
It did.
for
I mean,
Ottawa.
you try to get Duchesne, and you trade away Turris, who is essentially Duchesne.
They're the same
in-
player.
But maybe
in-
another. Turris is like 1 or 2 or 3 years older than Duchesne.
Yeah, or are they that much difference in age? Maybe a little.
I know Turris is older.
Okay.
But not by much.
But it doesn't make sense to me why you would ever even consider trading Turris to get Duchesne. Essentially, is what that trade was, and I guess Colorado just got a bunch of
I mean,
stuff
they got
to
Hall.
build.
Sammy Gerard is a
Their biggest names come
legitimate.
from Nashville, so let's not blame it on Ottawa.
That's true.
I don't think their problems lie all with the GM as much as they do with the owner and the culture they have there.
That's true.
I don't think that Turris was the solution or Duchesne's the problem. I mean, look at how they treat Erik Karlsson.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if Preds fans and the owner looked and felt the way that they do, like Ottawa does, about Karlsson with a PK Subban or
Like
Roman
Montreal felt with PK
Yeah,
Subban.
imagine just your fans are all in support of your star defenseman and all hate your owner, and your owner just does not like the culture and it just ruins everything. I don't think that we should blame it all on the GM with that situation, and that trade didn't really make or break Ottawa. But as far as Colorado goes, being able to trade an apple for an orange and then add all these other things. What a move for Joe Sakic. Nothing to do with Ottawa, just Joe Sakic being able to say, hey, I'll give you this player for the same player, and that way we'll get all of these things in return from Nashville.
Unreal.
That was a make or break trade for him too. If that trade goes the wrong way for him,
If Sakic gives a
for
great
second,
trade.
I think he's gone. So
It's very true.
tell you what, the Preds, I think
How many
most
games?
people would say they're going to win the series. I do think that. I mean, we've beaten. I shouldn't say we, but the Preds have beaten Colorado 10 straight times dating back to 2016. But I do think in this type of series, they've seen us so many times, we've seen them. I do think Colorado can steal a game in their place, game 3 or 4.
They
I think
played
it's
well
done
at
by 5.
home this year too,
They've got
right?
one of the best home records in the
That's what-
NHL,
if
which is
you-
why I think they'll win game 3.
If you look at their home record, they're 28-11-2. We talked about how good Vegas' home record was. They're 29-10-2.
Colorado's right, one
Yeah,
game
The Central's
difference?
got some
One game.
great home teams. The Preds, the Jets, the Avs. I mean,
it's because it's good building atmosphere,
Exactly.
right?
So I think, in my opinion, the Avs come back after games 1 and 2. Preds are up 2-0. After maybe a close game 2, come back to Denver and they win game 3. It's close.
Yeah.
They lose game 4, come to Nashville, the series over. That's my opinion of how it would break down, psychologically. But when you're playing against, Bernier's a fresh goalie. Let's not consider what he did last year. He's on a brand a very different team, whole new strategy built around him. He's a backup. He's fresh. That's one of the Preds' advantages coming into the playoffs is Rene's rest compared to other starters. Well, in this series, it's not a starter. He's fresh. Bernier's been playing really well lately. They've got a lot of young, fast guys. They've got Gerard. They've got McKinnon, who's probably a Hart Trophy winner.
If he's
Probably.
not, if he doesn't, it's either to me
It's him or Hall.
It's him or Hall. Yeah.
Rantanen can
Hall.
pop off at any
Oh.
moment. So when you
He's
have
averaging-
stars like that on the other team,
Yeah.
anything can happen. And while I'm kind of writing Colorado off in Sharpie, the Predators should not do the same. They should come out to play like they're playing.
I wonder, do they look at their season last year and think we were Colorado last year? Or the difference in Nashville and Colorado though is
It's not that different.
it's not that, but I wonder when you look at who Nashville was as a team last year, they just didn't have the media attention. Like, but they had the team that was there. I wonder.
They just weren't playing.
I want to kind of go off that. I read somebody's opinion on if there is a parallel between the Preds this year and the Avs this year, and they kind of put that argument to rest because they kind of said, and I kind of agree with them, that Chicago kind of felt, even though they were 1 seed last year, you could kind of feel that maybe their run was maybe coming to an end.
Like the Ducks, they're old, they emptied their tank coming into the playoffs.
They literally had one line.
And the Preds were up and coming. The Preds did not play up to their potential
Still
that
had the
year.
same top 4D. Still had Pecorine being one of the best goaltenders coming into the playoffs. Our top line started producing. Philip Forsberg finally caught fire. Johansson was playing the best hockey of his career in the playoffs last year.
And go look at all the
Let's not
overtime
forget that.
losses we had last year. And look how many overtime losses Colorado has. They don't have many.
Yep.
But I do want to draw a parallel to this Nashville-Colorado series and compare it to the Preds' first ever playoff series against Detroit in 04. The Avs this year are where we were in 04 with Detroit. Detroit was the huge President's Trophy winning team. Everybody was saying, "Oh, Nashville, they're just happy to be there. They'll get swept," And we were able to tie that series going back to Detroit that year. And the front page of the Detroit newspaper, their local newspaper, was "Panic in Hockeytown." So if you do win the first 2 games, which I expect us to do at home, and you come back to Nashville and they tie the series, it's gonna be a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
So
you don't want to have that pressure turned on you.
Yeah. So.
For
but,
sure.
But I think we can agree it's going to be a short series.
All right. Do we want to make the call to the Avs fan? He is ready and waiting.
Yes.
He is from Nova Scotia. He is a disgusting Nathan McKinnon fan because they're from the same town or near the same area. So we will see what he has to say about this series and when he answers this phone call. It's going to be – we'll see how this goes.
Hello.
Hello, is this Matthew Morine?
This is Matthew. Is this Benjamin McGreevy?
Yes, and others. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic.
That's good to hear. We're calling. You're an Avs fan. You've been watching the Avs all year. You're from the same province, same area as Nathan McKinnon. What are your thoughts on the Avs, and how are they going to compare with the Preds going into this playoff series?
Well, that's a good question there, Benjamin. Ultimately, they shouldn't even come close to comparing. The Predators have a lot better defense. When you think about the Avs, they don't really have anybody of the caliber that the Predators have. And their number one defensive pairing, Eric Johnson, he's actually injured. So they are already shorthanded for this. And so on defense, it's not even a comparison. Goalie, not a comparison. Now, I think the forwards, top-line talent, the Avs actually have an advantage with my boy Nathan McKinnon.
Now, okay, so you have McKinnon, you have those forwards. Do you think that the ability of the Nashville defense, and I know you're not a big PK Subban guy, but you look at Subban and how he handles and how he handled Tarasenko last year, and how he handled Getzlaf last year.
Even the Crosby line, the HBK line.
Yeah.
If you put Subban on McKinnon, you might as well put a wet paper bag on your hair and expect the wind not to blow it off. There's no way Subban is a showboat, flash, and no skill defenseman. He's going to go back to school if he tries to even cover McKinnon. McKinnon's so fast and so agile that Subban, they're not putting Subban on.
You do realize Subban is like the biggest challenge for McDavid there is.
Subban and Ekholm were the number one shutdown D pairing.
Yeah.
Subban was on there by accident.
I meant to type Yost.
I saw Subban trying to throw punches and throw his gloves at people. He's such a bad defenseman.
Are you talking about the All-Star game right now?
Like a big cheater, instead of actually using a stick like he's supposed to.
So,
I like the Predators. I think the Predators have a good team. But if you get me on Subban, I have no respect for that.
So I have a question for you. This is Jacob, by the way. So if the Preds do decide to put, say, Matthias Ekholm on Nathan McKinnon, do you like that matchup for the Avs?
I don't care if you put 5 defensemen on McKinnon. McKinnon's still going to show all of the defensemen of the Predators up. There's nobody who can shut down McKinnon. He's a Nova Scotia boy. He has a different level of skill. He's up there with McDavid and McKinnon. Essentially, you put MC in front of somebody's name, that means they know how to play.
Now, are they, in your opinion, are they the best line in hockey? With Rantanen and McKinnon.
Isn't it MAC?
That line.
It's MAC, but MC.
It's pronounced MC. It counts.
Yeah.
It's the Mac line.
The Mac line?
Trying to cover McKinnon is like trying to stop a Mack truck. It doesn't happen.
Okay, here's my question. You do realize my last name starts with an MC?
No, it is. Yes. But you didn't grow up in Canada, so it only works for Canadians. Southern boys, it doesn't make a difference.
Do you have any faith in any of your Canadian teams in the playoffs this go around?
Ooh.
You know, all the Canadians come down to America just like I do because, let's face it, it's a lot better to live in America.
Yes.
We like Tim Hortons, and we like our hockey, but we really like Tim Hortons and hockey in America.
No, okay.
I'm going to Michigan this weekend, and that's the first thing I said. I want to eat Timbits like a real Canadian.
Tim Hortons are some of the best coffee I've ever tried. All right, so you have, in the playoffs, you have Winnipeg, Toronto. Are those the only Canadian teams? Wow.
I think so.
Yeah. So out of those two teams, who has the best shot out of?
Oh, Toronto. No, I think Winnipeg actually might have had the better season, but Toronto's going to do really well because they got Mitch Marner. Now, a lot of times everybody's going to talk about Austin Matthews. He's overrated.
This man isn't here with the hot takes.
Is this a Jared Stone?
Matthew and Subban should be like friends because they're both showboats.
Are you saying that because Matthews is American?
No, I'm just saying he's a showboat.
So,
I mean, he is, but he's got the skill to back it up.
I respect American players. They learn really well from Canadians.
So what
amazing.
what happens in Canada if Toronto and Winnipeg meet at the end of May?
It's not even close. Winnipeg is kind of like your ex-girlfriend. Toronto Maple Leafs is your wife. You don't even care about your ex-girlfriend once you got married. Okay? Like in Canada, they want to see Toronto win something. And if Toronto makes it to the Stanley Cup Finals, you think when Vancouver lost in the finals, they burned tires and ransacked the city? Like, Canadians everywhere will go destroy, like, igloos and stuff. They will literally attack polar bears. You're going to see on the news, local Canadian man fought with local polar bears. They'll be like, he'll come back and bloody and bruised. And they'll be like, what were you thinking? And they'll be like, I was mad. Toronto lost the match, so I wanted to fight a bear.
Toronto's mascot is a polar bear, isn't it?
Yeah,
it is.
They're gonna go fight the Toronto Polar Bear. That's the local
There
bear.
you go.
Believe it, man. Canadians are crazy about hockey. They go nuts.
Oh man, that's
That's
exciting.
the greatest quote I've ever heard.
In Nashville, you guys are like, you guys pack some street and, you got all these people gonna paint the university gold or blue or something.
Man.
Canadians light things on fire when they lose hockey. Americans like, let's paint something. Canadians are like, we will kill something. That's real passion.
I didn't know Canadians were violent
Man,
coming into
yeah.
this call.
Wow. Okay, that was fantastic. Well, thank you for joining us. Who do you think, real quickly, who's your prediction? Who's Stanley Cup champion this year?
Colorado Avalanche, man.
Who are they beating?
He's going to stand on his head. We're going to see the McKinnon show, and we're going to know why real people from Nova Scotia are money. Because when all the marbles are on the table, McKinnon is the Mac Daddy at heart.
Who are they beating? Who's the Eastern Conference champion?
Pittsburgh.
Okay, because you're Crosby. Crosby's Nova Scotia. Okay,
Yes.
gotcha.
Yes, I'm a little biased.
Okay.
Just a little.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for joining
Thank
us.
you for having me, guys.
You have a good rest of your day.
All right, bye-bye.
What did I just hear?
Oh my.
Man,
Subban is overrated showboat. Austin Matthews overrated
I think
showboat.
we have a Nova Scotian version of Jared Stillman up in here. Don't we?
Pittsburgh Stanley Cup final. Pittsburgh is not better than any of the 4 teams coming out of the.
That is fantastic. All right, so that actually transitions us well. We'll start in the Metro.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh and Philly. Who do you guys have?
That's such a tough call.
I don't know. I have Pittsburgh in the series, but I will say this. First off, the law of averages says that at some point the Penguins have to lose in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think it's this year, but not in round 1. Now Philadelphia has a great story with Claude Giroux. He had a hat trick in their playoff clinching
His
game.
first career 100-point season.
Insane.
I didn't
Comeback player of the year in my opinion.
There's no way that Claude Giroux has not had a 100-point season before.
I
don't believe
I
it.
was shocked. Because he was what year was he on the cover of NHL?
NHL 13.
13,
No.
yeah. It was 13 because Stamkos was on 12. Like, he's been a good player for a long
He's
time.
been a Hall of Fame level player.
Yeah. That's amazing.
But where they have always struggled is goaltending. It's always been their Achilles heel. I'll take Matt Murray over anybody Philly has.
Really? Right now?
Unless he gets injured again.
I don't know. He's going to start game 1, right? I mean,
Maybe. He was supposed to start game 1 against Columbus last year, and he got hurt in warm-ups.
I don't know.
That's true. And
But
this
if Matt
year-
Murray does start
This
game
year
1,
at Pittsburgh, who do they have? Like, Murray goes down. They don't have the saving grace of Fleury this year.
Pittsburgh is banking kind of on what Chicago did with like having old but really like star talent 3 lines deep. Even though Chicago kind of lost their 3 lines deep after they traded Brandon Saad and some other players, they tried to like rebuild that. They don't have a top 4 defense. They have like a top 1 or maybe even 2.
Yeah.
And then they have Murray. So they're banking on being an offensive, opportunistic team, which they were last year, but they don't really have the defense to, support that. They don't have a Chris Kunitz to hold it down in the back. So for me, I have Philly winning in 7, but it could go either way. It could end up the way the Eastern Conference Finals did last year with the Game 7 overtime. I think that's how close the series is going to be.
would y'all say that this is definitely the most, probably the best series if you're an unbiased hockey fan?
Oh, yeah.
The whole battle of
It's going to be
Pennsylvania.
amazing.
Like, NBC is all over the series.
I hate both teams with all my heart.
Yeah.
Like, I truly, for some reason, I was rooting so hard for Philly to lose because I didn't want to see it. I wanted to see a Tampa versus Florida. Like, that would have been more fun to me just because I hate Philly.
I don't hate Philly, but I can't stand Pittsburgh.
More than, and that's
Is that to do with the fact that they just won the Super Bowl and Villanova
no,
just
it's
won?
just I never liked the Flyers, and I don't like watching games that are on TV in Philadelphia. I don't like their uniform. I think their jerseys are ugly. I
love their logo.
See,
I think it's
their
amazing.
logo is fantastic, but there's just something about Philadelphia that I hate with all my heart.
Their fans.
Yeah,
One thing that I do think will not a lot of people talk about this guy, but they have probably, in my opinion, one of the most underrated defensemen, Shane Gostisbehere. I mean, he is he is a talent. I mean, outside of Roman Josi, he is one of the best puck handlers through the neutral zone I've seen, like this year. Like, I watched him, that game they had against Boston where they gave up the lead and won in overtime on Easter. That was on NBC. He made some insane plays. So, they got some young talent. I think Philadelphia will give Pittsburgh everything they have.
I think Philly wins that in 6 or 7 for sure. I don't know which one yet.
Pittsburgh does.
You have Pittsburgh, okay?
Yeah.
Wow.
I do think Pittsburgh does. I don't want to get ahead of myself. But I'll just say I think Pittsburgh finally loses to Washington this year.
Really?
But we're not to round 2.
You're ahead of yourself. All right,
Yeah,
so
I
here we
agree.
go. We'll move through these next ones. All right, so you have Washington and Columbus as your other game. You have Washington.
I do think Grubauer kind of gives me a little of a
question mark.
He makes me question a little bit, but the way he's been playing this year, he's been playing out of his mind.
He was good last
He doesn't have any playoff experience, but he's been playing great. Trotz, at some point the man has to get to the conference final.
Yeah.
His coaching style doesn't fit that mold to make long playoff runs. We've seen that over and over and over again, but I think they finally do make a run this year. I've got them winning in 6 over Columbus. Columbus is a good story. Columbus is dying to win their first playoff series. They want it bad, but I do think Washington wins this series in 6.
You go ahead.
I have Columbus winning in 6 because, I grew up, my dad is from that area. He's a Capitals fan growing up, so that's why I hate Pittsburgh. I'm not just salty from the Stanley Cup Finals. I've grown up hating Pittsburgh, but For me, Washington, there's too much of a question mark at goaltending
Yeah.
for me to, bet on them. And there's so much talent in Columbus. Columbus, I think, would be a better parallel to the Predators from last year than the Avalanche would, being at that wild card spot. Think of the talent they have on their team. They have Atkinson, Foligno, they got Seth Jones, Sergei Bobrovsky, the talent on that team. Zach Werenski, Artemi Panarin now. Yeah. They have a really quality team. And Washington right now has Kuznetsov and Ovechkin. Yeah. In my opinion. And they have other players. They have TJ Oshie.
Orlov's a decent defenseman.
They've got other good players, but they've not shown me that they can step up in big games, and their goaltending is a question mark for me. And like you said about Trotzy's style of play, if Washington wins this series, it is heavily on the back of Alexander Ovechkin.
And I think if Washington loses the series, Trotz is done. I think he's fired.
I heard a stat yesterday. The man has won over 200 in Washington and lost less than 100.
Yeah.
How did
he is the epitome of a regular season coach.
Does winning a regular season
it doesn't matter. Here's my thing. I think Columbus does win this series. I think they win it in 6. I think they don't think they go to a game 7. I just think you look at Trotz and you look at Trotz and you look at so many other coaches in the NHL. And to me, there's something about it. Trotz has been a coach of some of the best teams in the NHL, and he has never won. You look at Peter Laviolette, he's taken the Carolina Hurricanes. He's taken Cam Ward, yeah. He's taking the Philadelphia Flyers. You look at the teams he's taken, and none of them have been like the greatest. You look at some of these teams who have won, you look at Darryl Sutter, and take it, the Kings had a good team, but I don't think the Kings... They were never. I mean, you remember the one year they were an 8 seed,
and they flew
right through the playoffs. And here you have it. And I just think that there's a different style of coaching, and Trotz doesn't have it. And Trotz is not going to win a series against a team who, in my opinion, you look at Tortorella.
They're more
talented. He does have it. They're more talented, I think, all the way through. Washington's very top heavy. It has a goaltender problem right now. I think Columbus takes this series in 6 games. I think it'll be a fun one to watch. I think it'll be very high scoring.
Yeah, I do think the coaching advantage definitely is in Columbus' favor. Tortorella over Trotz any day of the week in the playoffs. But I'm still going Washington.
Cool, fantastic. All right, Toronto, Boston. This is my toughest series to predict. I have no earthly idea.
So you want to take this one?
I'm going with Boston.
Okay.
I think the Maple Leafs are just as talented, but Boston is playing better hockey. And I think that Boston has more veteran experience. I think the Maple Leafs have the coach advantage. But Tuukka Rask has picked up his game. Pasternak's playing incredible. Marchand somehow is still playing in the NHL. You got other players. Zdeno Chara is still playing good hockey. He's 41 now? Is that what I read the other day?
Yeah.
Just insane amounts of talent on Boston. McAvoy's coming back. And then, what is that rookie kid that they have on their team now that scored for Boston?
Donato.
Yeah, Ryan Donato. What does he have, 5 goals in 7 games or something?
That's
11.
5 goals. I added him on fantasy team late in the playoffs.
5 goals in 11 games since joining from Boston, right? That's, incredible. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not Austin Matthews 4 goals in your first game, but the impact he's having on an already star-studded team is it's undeniable. Yeah. So for me, I'm taking Boston in 6.
So hear me out when I say this. So Toronto has pretty much been locked into the 3 spot in the Atlantic for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably kind of like in the position the Preds were in. They were able to coast to the finish line and be okay. Toronto was able to pretty much get ready for whoever's going to be 2 seed. They're going to get Boston or Tampa Bay. They're going to get a tough opponent in the first round. As you can see, this has the most firepower for both teams. And as you said, this is a toss up if there ever was one. I have Toronto in I have them in 7 games. I think they get it done. They're ready to make a run. The city's ready. Boston's a great team, but I do think Toronto wins, and I think whoever wins this series is going to come out of the Atlantic.
I think the winner of this series. I think the winner of this series is the Eastern Conference champion. Personal opinion.
Mm-hmm.
That's
what I have too.
like I said, tossing it up. Elliot Friedman, I think, made a really good point. I think it was on 31 Thoughts, Elliot Friedman. But made a good point that Boston's sort of like Chicago last year. In a way of they're very top heavy in scoring.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have Marchand and Bergeron on the same lineup there. They're going to score a lot, but then if you can shut those guys down, the problem is Toronto doesn't have the defenseman that Nashville had to shut down that line. But the thing is, if Toronto can shut down those guys, you have depth.
Yeah.
I mean, you have young guys like Kasperi Kapanen and just
Marner,
Matthews.
You got old guys in Marlowe.
Yeah,
and Connor Brown.
You have Connor Brown, who's on this team, who's
Nobody
a
talks about
rookie,
him.
had 19 goals.
Their goalie's
And
playing incredible.
JVR, Van Riemsdyk, has had a casually racked up 30 something
Morgan
goals.
Riley. I mean,
Riley's an
yeah.
absolute
They're really
monster.
stacked.
And I think if I could be wrong, but didn't Tuukka Rask kind of a little shaky down the stretch?
Yeah, a little bit. Not
He
like,
picked his play up a lot from the first half of the season.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to say.
I know he had a very inconsistent season.
He was very inconsistent.
You don't really
but
know what you're gonna get.
A lot of the bad was from the first half, and I think from a veteran guy in the playoffs, you know what to expect.
Yeah.
Tuukka Rask is a Stanley Cup champion. Let's not forget that. Right?
Yeah.
So he's gone the distance.
Mm-hmm.
So he could surprise everyone and come out and be the best goaltender in the playoffs. And I think that's what Toronto should prepare for.
Oh, I forgot about that. They
2011, right?
No, it was they won.
2013.
Did they win the shortened year?
No, that's Chicago.
No.
They won in 2011.
I want to say it was 11. I think it was,
Was
the
Yeah,
year
because
before the
Vancouver.
Was that Tim
2011 was
Thomas,
when
though,
they
right?
beat Vancouver in 7 games. 2011 was
Yeah,
when
wasn't
Vancouver.
that Tim Thomas in net for that one?
I want to say it was Rask, but I don't remember.
I don't
I
remember.
might have to look.
That was a
Maybe
little-
I could be completely
was
wrong.
7 years ago.
But
That's
one
insane.
can't deny Tuukka Rask has a lot of playoff experience.
Also, okay, here's something else. Think about this series. I don't know if you remember 2013 was a shortened season. Didn't Toronto have like a 3-1 lead on that series? And then Boston came back, and in Game 7, with less than 5 minutes, Toronto was up 4-1 and then blew it.
This is
and
going to
then-
be a super physical
Oh, it's
series.
gonna be fantastic.
It's going to be brutal.
I'm excited to see Matthews really, now that he's older, has a couple years under his belt. You know, watch him showboat.
The
in
series
playoffs.
last year with the Caps was like, all right, what are the Maple Leafs about?
They're
This
happy to be
this
beaten.
year-
And
it's
they
like,
actually
all right.
gave Washington a good run.
Yeah,
I
they
had
did.
Toronto winning that series.
Yeah,
They
well,
didn't, but
this year it's like, all right, you need to win this year. Like last year was to see what it's all about, and now it's time to
I
show
don't know.
up and
This
win.
was the Leafs' best season in their franchise history.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Which doesn't bode well for their franchise.
As we
That's bad.
pointed out throughout this, is Canadian hockey fans are crazy and they want revenge on Boston. Y'all brought up the Game 7 debacle. They want to get revenge on Boston, and I think they get it.
Yep, I can see it.
It's
All
even
right.
more of a toss-up than I have ever anticipated.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I have no idea.
That one, Philly, Pittsburgh, and Anaheim, San Jose, I think are
They're
the
gonna be-
round one.
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and say my Eastern Conference picks could be completely wrong.
Yeah.
I've
Every-
just much a
Every
chance of being
single,
wrong.
every single one of the people I'm picking, the other team could win. Like,
including
no
the one
problem.
we're about to cover, which is Tampa
which
Bay
is
and the Devils.
Tampa and New Jersey. All right, you guys go ahead. I think you both. Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
actually going to take a different route. I don't think this series is close. I think Tampa Bay
Really?
handles business here. New Jersey's a
Have
great
faith in
story.
Kincaid.
I just don't think. I mean, Taylor Hall is the reason they're in the playoffs. What do they have outside of him? Nico Hischier's had a decent rookie year. Keith Kincaid's been playing well, but the gap between Hall and the rest of their roster, it's huge.
It's like 50 points.
It's a big difference.
And-
yeah.
In Tampa Bay,
It's like 100.
Vasilevsky has been very inconsistent down the stretch, but I do think they handle business. And I think they win in 5. I think they win in 5.
It's very possible.
New Jersey, a great story. They won the draft lottery last year. They were the number one. They were picking number 1 overall last
Taylor
year.
Hall's tweet, like, I guess I'm good at one thing, like winning the draft. That was so fun. I don't know if you remember that. Yeah, so their points, you have Hall at 93, then Nico Hischier is at 52.
Yeah.
Then Kyle Palomari is at 44, Will Butcher 44. Like,
That just makes me so thankful for the Preds.
And,
Yes.
and that's why I have to say that how is he not the Hart Trophy winner? McKinnon makes a good case, but McKinnon's playing Rantanen. Who is Hall playing with?
Yeah,
He's the
that's a
Hart
good
Trophy
point.
winner, in my opinion.
yeah. You go ahead.
I have Tampa Bay in 6 games, but it could easily be Tampa Bay in 4. It could be New Jersey in 7. I honestly have no idea. because with the way Tampa Bay's been like slow, like kind of inconsistent down the stretch. Let's be real. I know you're kind of a Tampa Bay fan, but let's be honest.
Go Bolts.
They've been in and out
Yeah.
down the stretch. Kind of like, I don't want to say kind of like how the Preds were, but kind of like how the Preds results were down the stretch. Because to be fair, the Predators were pretty consistent down the stretch, but they were inconsistent period to period rather than game to game. So it was like less noticeable, and then the scores come out weird. But this one, Tampa Bay could destroy them in 4. New Jersey could win in 7. It all depends on how much Hall and Kincaid can do. And Stamkos is he like is he nursing an injury right now?
Yeah,
I think
So if there's no Stamkos, I think that Tampa Bay struggles a lot more in this series than anticipated.
I think I could be wrong. He's looking, but I think he is going to be ready for game 1.
They've said
I'm sure
he's
he'll be
coming
fine.
back.
Yanni Gord, though, is an amazing talent for Tampa Bay, and I think if he shows up, that almost guarantees a 4 or 5 game series.
And I do think that Tampa Bay's got the second best defensive core behind Nashville.
Oh, yeah.
With Sergachev,
For
Hedman,
sure.
Really?
all of them. Yeah, I think they're.
Oh.
Yeah, well they got Coburn, Hedman.
So you say they had the second best behind Nashville, behind like Calgary, behind a healthy Anaheim.
Yeah,
Go
has
look
a really
at
good
Tampa-
young defensive core.
Go look at Tampa Bay. Like,
Man,
they have
I
a-
think they're slow.
No, I think they're good. They got Hedman, Sergachev, Coburn. I'm
I think
leaving
they're
somebody
kind of
off.
overrated, to be honest.
I think
I
they're
don't know.
very over.
I think they're good in the offensive zone, but like, it's like if you took PK Subban's offensive zone and Ekholm and like their offensive production, and you take their shutdown abilities and just knock them off.
But like of the playoff teams, are they the second best defensive core? Because I think they're second best in the league.
I don't know.
But as you said, Calgary's not in the
Columbus
playoffs.
does have.
They have a good-
Dan
great-
Jones
they-
on the same.
they do-
Like,
they
that
have a
top
great-
pairing, I think, is better than any.
Their top pairing is
Pairing.
better than any pairing that the Lightning have. But from top to bottom, I have the Lightning.
I think
better.
Ellis and Yossi might be the best deep pairing in the NHL.
in the
Oh.
NHL, yeah.
But if we're saying top 3 lines in the NHL, you got Yossi and Ellis, Subban and Ekholm for me, and then Jones for Rinsky.
Okay.
I-
So you're saying the Preds have 2 of the top 3 best defensive pairings?
Yes.
I
I don't think that's even
agree.
arguable.
I agree.
I think that
Actually, I do.
that the 4 top Preds guys, I think all 4 of them would go to any team and be the number 1 defenseman on their
Yes.
team, no questions
Mhm.
asked. Subban would be, Yossi would be, Ellis and Ekholm. Ekholm maybe not. I think he's the only one that
He could be the number 2 depending on
he
what
would-
team he goes
yeah.
to. But if he
But
went to Columbus,
yeah. Like obviously, if he goes to Ottawa, he's behind Carlson. If he
But
goes
went
to
to
LA,
Pittsburgh,
he's
he'd be number 1. Is the thing.
yeah.
I think he'd be ahead of
He's
Kunitz.
best in New Jersey.
Or
Anyone could be the best. in
Yeah, I
Jersey.
was about to say.
well, see, this is where I disagree because I have the New Jersey Devils winning the series in 7.
Ooh, is it,
Here's
That's a bold
why.
pick against your own team.
I've been spending a lot of time thinking about this series, dreading saying that I'm choosing the New Jersey Devils. I went back to the extent, looked, and I watched a couple of the games
Dang.
from earlier this year. Yeah, New Jersey and Tampa, and I'm going to tell you this: when Tampa traded Braden Point and Nemestikov,
They got worse.
it ruined their team. And I think that with that, I think if they don't make a move at the trade deadline, Tampa is the clear favorite in the playoffs right now.
Just to win it all.
With that, yeah, straight up. I think with that trade, they messed up chemistry. They messed off an ability. They messed up depth in a way, in an odd sort of way. I don't understand it.
They traded
But they did
depth to upgrade one player.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
but they did get McDonough. And
Yeah.
already to a great defensive core.
But man,
Right now, this
I
year,
don't
they're
think
better.
Ryan McDonough's
In the
even that
future,
good.
they're not better. But this
McDonough-
year, they're better.
McDonough's
I
like
don't
Dustin
know.
Brown. It's yeah, he's good.
But you put him playing on the Tampa Bay second pair, and he's not playing top pair minutes. And you put him against teams second and third lines. I think McDonough is a great
Here's my
addition.
thing. Here's my thing. The New Jersey top line with Hall on that New Jersey top line, I don't think there's a player. You can say Hedman all you want. Hedman's not fast. You put Hall against any
He'll dust him.
tip, he's gone.
Well, you don't
It's
have, you don't have to shut him down. You have to neutralize him. Just like the Preds with McKinnon, you just got to neutralize him.
Thing is that the Predators have so many things that they can neutralize
Yeah.
McKinnon with, and he's the only one. Well, not the only one, but they have 2 players to neutralize him.
Mhm.
Any team without offensive depth, Nashville won't struggle with because they have more defensive depth than most teams have offensive depth, which is nuts in the salary cap age that we're in. with Tampa,
Because Ellis is making $2.5 million.
that's true. But that's why that's amazing.
Yeah.
But it's such a hard thing to pick because no one can shut down Hall.
Yeah.
He literally has single-handedly willed the Devils to the playoffs. So saying all they have to do is shut down Hall, you're right. But how possible is that actually?
And I don't think Tampa has a player to do it. And that's why I think New Jersey, who has not lost to Tampa this year, comes out of this series and wins it. They're 3-0 against Tampa. And I don't.
It's a toss-up though, still, because it
still a
could go
toss-up.
4, it could go 7.
It's going to be a great. I'm excited for that. I think New Jersey is one of the greatest stories in the league this year. Oddly, they were better when they were winning the Metro, but like looking at them now, I mean
They're not that far removed from the Stanley Cup final appearance.
Very
Good
true.
defense.
I mean,
And some more scores.
yeah.
But that should show you how quickly you can go back down to being a non-playoff team.
Think about, what was it, 5-6 years ago? The finals was the Kings and the Rangers.
Yeah.
Last year, the Kings did not make the playoffs. They were good enough. They didn't make it, though. And this year, the Rangers organization announced that they're going into a rebuild. 6 years from their peak.
Yeah. I mean, think about all the teams that didn't make it from last year: Chicago, St. Louis, New York.
Yeah. So
I think they said that there are 7 new playoff teams this year.
Which is
so fun.
Yeah.
That's so fun to me.
Yeah.
Like it's different. It's fun.
There's
All
so
right,
much turnover.
Let's think about this real quickly, and this is a good transition. Out of all these teams, name a team from the West, a team from the East who misses the playoffs next year, and who fills their spot.
Okay. Let's see. I don't want to be this cliche, but is Vegas gonna be able to replicate it again next year? I say no. I say they come out, and I say you can throw Edmonton back in from the Pacific.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. And if it's not Vegas, it's Anaheim.
Yeah.
But only for a year. Anaheim takes 1 year where they're not in. They regroup and they come back and they could win the Pacific, honestly.
I don't know.
Their young decor is incredible.
They're-
John Gibson is an underrated goalie.
But their window is closing. I mean, Getzlaf, Perry, they are getting up there in age.
They are, but they have
have
really
some young
good
They,
talent.
they have young talent and goals.
They've drafted
Silverberg.
so well.
Silverberg is so good.
Dude, Ricard Raquel
Cam
is
Fowler.
a great.
Red Hot Raquel, John Gibson, Cam Fowler, like those guys, all very talented and all very
Yep.
young.
For sure. For me, who I think misses next year, I think LA is old. I don't see LA hitting it next year, which is crazy for me to think about. But
That's a good point.
I see, and we're saying
It's
one.
funny they're all in the Pacific.
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
Central's
that's true.
not going
Yeah,
anywhere.
that's true. If Winnipeg has bad goaltending, they'd be gone. But you guys might think I'm crazy for this. The Arizona
I knew it was
Coyotes will be in the
okay.
playoffs next year.
That is possible.
Count
Monty
on it.
Ronta?
And
Wow.
unreal.
Wow.
Unreal. After a rough
Clayton
start,
Keller.
Clay Keller, like if you look at their deals, they're almost all entry level. If they can get Oliver Ekman-Larsson re-signed, which that's a tall task, but if they can do it, they're a playoff
They have
team.
a catch space to do it.
I do
so
think
much.
another team that won't be there next year is Minnesota. I think they're coming out. And I think you could throw another Pacific team in there.
I don't know.
Let's see. I think St. Louis gets back
Also,
there.
St. Louis,
count on it.
Minnesota could not be in.
Count
I
on
don't
it.
think
Chicago's winning the draft lottery.
Oh, yeah.
Getting Rasmus
Please
Dahlin.
don't get him.
All right. All right.
It's almost guaranteed.
And then on the east side,
On the East, he's not making it.
I'm going to go with
I want to say Pittsburgh.
Philadelphia's coming out, I think.
I'm with you.
They're 1 year.
I want to say
I
Pitt
think
so
you
bad.
can. I don't know. I think the Panthers make it next year.
I think Florida's in next year. I think Carolina's in next year.
Yeah, Carolina. They had a lot of
Devils?
anticipation for this year.
Devils could be out next year.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're relying on Taylor Hall to have, 110, 15, whatever point season,
For sure.
you're not getting in. And I don't think Kincaid is ever going to have a season like that this year.
Yep.
I love him on Twitter. He's hilarious. But I just don't think he's...
Man, he gets Devils Twitter going, doesn't he?
Yeah.
All right. Those are our picks. We'll have more stuff at the end of the first round. Here's the thing that you need to do if you're watching this video and I feel awkward like pointing at a camera and talking to it, but you're through it. One, I'm going to be like and subscribe this video and share it. But no,
Shameless plug.
not really. Yeah. No, yes, I'm very ashamed right now, actually. Go join, make your bracket on the NHL bracket challenge, and then Ben and Friends. Okay, that's the league you need to join.
In or and?
And Ben and Friends. It's spelled BENANDFRIENDS. Almost spelled Friends wrong. I'll link it below if I can do that, or at least like include like the name in the description. But join that league. I bet you none of you, no subscribers or viewers will beat any of us.
Probably not.
No shot.
I'll give you a Preds Smart sticker if you beat me.
Oh, there it is, right
a little
there.
marketing.
Follow us all because we need followers.
Yeah.
And thank you for watching to this point. Go Preds. Go playoffs.
Humboldt strong.
Yes.
Yes, Humboldt strong as well.